Welcome to the Be It Till You See It podcast, where we talk about taking messy action, knowing that perfect is boring. I'm Lesley Logan, Pilates instructor and fitness business coach. I've trained thousands of people around the world, and the number one thing I see stopping people from achieving anything is self-doubt. My friends, action brings clarity, and it's the antidote to fear. Each week, my guests will bring bold, executable, intrinsic, and targeted steps that you can use to put yourself first and be it till you see it. It's a practice, not a perfect. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Be It Till You See It interview recap, where my co-host in life, Brad, and I are going to dig into the leading convo I had with Kevin Keppel in our last episode. If you haven't yet listened to that interview, feel free to pause this now and go back and listen to that one, and then come back and join us, because Kevin and I kind of nerded out a little bit. Like I got real excited when I heard. I was like, ooh, I love this. Let's go.
Was very reminiscent of a conversation that we had many years ago.
I know, but we're married, so I couldn't Netflix and
You couldn't Strengths Finders and chill?
No, we could not.
For those of you who don't know what we're referencing, you're going to have to go back and listen to last episode where Lesley told a very fun story about how Lesley and I initially connected.
And if Kevin has a partner who's listening to this, I don't mean it like that.
Well, I'll tell you what, I thought right out of the gate, I thought it was so awesome that he pointed out something that I knew innately, but I had never really verbalized. He said leadership is not a position, it's an action, and leadership is different than management, right? Because, and then he also threw in there like in his corporate experience, he's like, yeah, you know how I became the quote unquote leader? I became a good salesperson and I started doing really good. And they were like, well, I guess you'll be promoted to the head of your department. And he's like, that doesn't make me a good leader. That just makes me a good salesperson. What the hell?
But every company does this.
They all fucking do this.
They all do this.
Doesn't make any sense.
It's like, haven't you ever heard, if you can't do it, like for those who what's the cliche? It's blanking now, but like
they do it, teach. Those who can't do it, teach.
Yeah, those who can't do it, teach. It's like your best coaches on the football field were not the quarterbacks. They were the people who maybe were a quarterback at some point, but like they weren't the star. My favorite coach in running was not a number one runner. He was actually a number 3 runner. If you know cross country at all, you have an individual number that you do in some races, but in other races, it's a team qualifying. The top 5 runners who come across the finish line, their cumulative scores is what wins. So you could have someone who's the fastest person and wins the race, but if the next 4 people are slower than the average of the other team's first 5, you lose. So all 5 people matter, right?
Right.
My best coach was like the number 3 runner. And when he got promoted to be the vice principal, that's fine for him, he gave us his number 1 runner who won states and all these things. He was a dick. He was the worst coach in the world. He just goes, run faster. And I'm like,
The worst.
Yeah. I quit running because of him, because he was the worst.
Well, that's annoying, and I totally get that. We also had a guy who was like, he had played pro when I was in high school, pro soccer, and then he became the coach, and I quit playing soccer because he sucked at life.
So for all of you who are promoting leaders in this world, it's not the best one. It's just because you're the best at what you do doesn't make you a leader.
I think it's interesting, right? Because the idea is lead by example. That's another phrase we've all heard, lead by example, right? And so the assumption is, well, if you're doing it, you must be great at, you must be able to be the leader because you can lead by example. You can tell them what you do. But that still, I don't think that's what qualifies leadership, right? And he said leaders inspire, leaders they ask, they don't tell. And then he said, for all you moms out there, you're the best possible leaders that the world has ever offered. And I just thought it was really amazing. I mean, there were so many little takeaways, like management is simply telling people what to do. Right. I mean, it was like, okay. Anyway, we just like completely jumped straight in. But we had a couple things we wanted to say before we get started.
Yeah. Like if you were listening to this on the actual day it comes out, happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah. For those here in the States.
In the States. And you know what? We actually did this in a newsletter in September. We sent out a gratitude just because right now everyone's very grateful, but I want to be grateful for people all the time. But just in case you have not heard, thank you for being you, and thank you for listening to this. We are so grateful for you. Like, we truly are. And everything we really created and the guests we have on are because of the questions you give us, the things that you say that resonate. So thank you. Thank you so much.
And thanks for listening.
Yes. And this is the first Thanksgiving Brad and I are not spending together. I don't think we've ever missed a Thanksgiving together.
That's true. I don't think I realized that.
We've missed many an anniversary and Valentine's Day.
Every Valentine's Day, except for like one.
Yeah, because of the pandemic really kept us together. But this Thanksgiving, you are in Philly.
Yeah, so I'm home with my family. My grandpa's getting up there, and I wanted to spend some time with him, and I only get to see him usually like once a year. And so I decided to go home for a couple weeks.
And because of the pandemic, even that one time a year, we really didn't get to have
like
in 2020. And then 2021, I got sick. And so we were allowed, you had to see him.
And then he drove by, and that was it. We saw him, we waved at him.
From the front yard as far away as possible. Anyways, so you're there and I'm here. Don't cry for me. My dad and brother are here, and they're going to make sure that I probably go to the movies with them. And then my bestie, Claire, you remember her from several recaps, my slingshot friend, she's actually coming out here. And I share this with you because on Saturday of this week in the US, it is Shop Small Saturday. So I have a tradition that I started last year where I go to all the small businesses and I shop small. And even if I don't buy anything from them, I post about them because it's really all about what you do in your community and like being there and being supportive of all of them. So that's really fun. And by the way, if you're wanting to shop small, hi. That's us. This weekend, we actually have two things going on. So depending on what you need and what you want, we've got on onlinepilatesclasses.com. We do have, it's a Black Friday Cyber Monday sale. It's really a holiday sale. It started yesterday.
It could have started at the beginning of November. I mean, who knows at this point, right?
Well, I refuse. Like the fact that I started before Thanksgiving is a little bit against my like values, and I hated seeing people in line on Thanksgiving Day at stores to buy TVs. But since I'm online, and you can do this from like sneaking out to the bathroom on onlinepilatesclasses.com, we do have 50% off of legacy workouts and workshops from iTeachers and myself. And also, if you buy the mat flashcards as gifts for yourself or for friends, there's a discount on those.
Yeah, you can get up to 40% off on the mat flashcards.
Yeah. So give the gift of Pilates this year to yourself and to others. On Profitable Pilates, we have up to 50% off of courses. So if you're buying courses that have my face or Brad's face on it, it's 50% off. If you buy a course with another person's face on it, it's 30% off. And do not worry, your purchase is still going to support the course creators and to the Cupcake Girls organization.
Right.
We still honor those charities with your purchase.
Yeah, that's awesome. So those will only be available through the Black Friday Cyber Monday holiday. So don't sit on this.
If you're listening to this in December or a random day in the future, well, you can go and get those things
Get on our
price.
newsletter. Get on our newsletter so that you can find out about future stuff like this.
Yeah. We just, so thank you for listening. Still, the gratitude is there.
All right. Well, we had an audience question this week, and I thought it was really, this is actually a question we've gotten multiple times in the past because inside of our fitness business coaching group agency, we have a lot of people who have clients. Everyone has clients in there. Mm-hmm. And we often have this conversation circle. Do you give your clients gifts during the holiday?
Yeah.
And if so, how, why, what's your thinking behind that?
Well, and I think like it really just depends on the business, and it depends here's the thing. I love that you asked this question, all of you, and I know a lot of people listening have side hustles and you have these clients, you're like, I got these gifts. Really, truly, like people are so grateful that you give them what you give. Like you change their life. Whatever it is that you are doing, you do change their life and you add so much value. That is already a gift. However, and I know that they often give you gifts, and so that makes you feel this reciprocity to give them something.
Sure.
It depends. It really has to depend on you. If you've got a family to feed, if you are just starting your business out, they do not, your clients are not actually expecting a gift from you, and they're not going, oh, Brad didn't give me a gift this year. Guess
He's
I'm
off
not
my
buying,
list.
not
Never
buying
buying
that
him
package.
again.
They don't do that. So in the very beginning,
it's kind of like the holiday cards.
We get holiday cards every year and we never send one.
Never.
And no one has taken us off the holiday card list. In fact, people still ask me, what's your address? What's your address? I'm like, fucking getting it. Like, I want to see your I can't wait to see your kid and your dog and all those things. It's really beautiful. But the point is made. No one is taking us off the list just because we didn't send a card of ourselves. We don't do that. We still have 2016's Christmas cards signed and sealed without stamps on them in a drawer.
In a drawer.
We tried, everyone. We've really tried. Maybe it was 2020. I think they're 2020. They're like 2020. And that's the irony is that they're like, have a lit 2020. And we didn't send it. Anyways.
We should put those in the mail.
Oh my God, that'd be so funny. So to go back to this question, as an online business owner, we don't have any gifts that we are doing for anyone particularly, and even for our team, and that's because they live all over the world, and we try to honor them on their birthday versus the holiday. The other thing is, like,
but for your clients,
for my clients, when I had an in-person client business, the first several years, I did do something nice. Like, I either got them some Pilates socks, or I made some granola things, or whatever. It was something really small and ideally cost effective, and hopefully something that was like felt personal enough that they wouldn't just regift it.
I think one year you gave them, like, we had made a bunch of candles.
Yes.
So, and those candles had, like, fun sayings that we wrote up on them or whatever.
Yeah. We did some fun stuff, and they're personalized as best we can. But as my clientele got bigger, that became a cost I just really couldn't do. And then also one year we just got really busy and I didn't do it, and no one seemed to notice that I didn't do it. So then what I did was actually just do a handwritten thank you card.
Yeah.
It was a very personalized handwritten thank you card on holiday stationery. And people loved that. They gave me a card as a gift, and it usually had money in it, which was so nice. And then I gave them a card back. And honestly, they just were so grateful that I wrote something personal to them. Mm-hmm. So do I give clients holiday gifts? If your love language is gift giving, then by all means, like,
do it up.
Do it up. If it's not, if it's like my love language is words of affirmation and touch. So thank you card handwritten with something personally complimenting them and hugging them at the holidays really was something that felt special to me, because I didn't hug them every time they came in. I didn't give them cards every time they came in. So it was very special. But maybe your love language is acts of service, and so you can go do something charitable in their honor. Like, so
yeah, here's what I don't recommend. I don't recommend giving them a free session or a free class or anything like that. Your clients want to support you. Mm-hmm. Okay. And if you are giving them back the thing that they're paying for, it's going to devalue it, and they're going to be like, well, I pay you for these. What would make more sense is find a local restaurant, like small business restaurant that you love, and give them a gift certificate if you really want to give them something like that, or a local coffee shop, or something that makes sense to them if giving gifts is your love language.
And also, like, if you collaborate with small businesses, and I was just doing a coaching call with one of our members, and I actually gave her, like, suggested, like, is there, I don't know why this is coming up for you, but, like, is there like a local, like, farming, gardening place that maybe you can do seeds, because you're a new studio owner for this area? And she's like, oh my God, I can do, like, thanks for growing with us, and, like, give everyone a seed packet, idea. Right? Like, so, but I
give away cactuses now.
Yeah, you can. Well, you already are. You're going to leave a cactus on someone's porch. But, like, the other thing you can do, y'all, is connect with these other small businesses, and maybe you don't pay for the full massage, but you get to pay for the cost of the massage, like whatever it costs the massage place. So then you can get something that's affordable to you, but
and you're building relationships.
You're building relationships.
You're supporting other local businesses,
and the massage place potentially gets all these clients.
Yeah.
So you've bought them a gift certificate.
I love that idea, actually, especially a massage place.
Yeah.
Or like a nails place, if you know they do their nails or something like that.
Can be a local maker shop. Like, if you collaborate with them, there may be, instead of you paying for the full price of the thing, you can pay for the cost of the thing, so that they're not losing any money. It's in your price range, and you're supporting each other's local business, because maybe they do the same thing for you. And they're
It's a great idea.
Can I buy all of my people a mat class? Okay, a cost of mat class per for the teacher is this much. I can do this. So the answer is very muddled. I can tell you that right now. And what I would just say is,
do you give gifts? Sometimes.
But I don't think you should feel obligated to give a gift ever. And I think that it should really resonate with what you're doing. And I love that you said, don't do this. Don't give away your service for free as the gift.
Right.
And it should feel fun and not like an obligation. Otherwise, you're not going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I think that that wraps up that question. Great question.
Is that pun intended? Just wrapping it up?
Yeah, we're going to wrap it up in a bow. We just wrapped it in a bow. All right. Let's talk about Kevin Keppel. From experience with various types of leadership, with leaders, Kevin realized that he was most energized by helping leaders maximize their genius through aligning their hearts. He is now a master coach, Gallup certified strengths coach, and a podcast host of Unlock Your Freedom, where he inspires leaders to become more. Kevin loves helping people figure out whatever it is that is slowing them down, stopping them, or standing in their way, and does this through the mastermind group he leads, and of course his podcast. This is a really, I laugh. He's got a dry sense of humor. I enjoyed that. But I laughed really a lot about how much I was like, oh, I like this guy. I want to hang out with him and just talk about
Dallas,
Strengths Finders.
So you can do that. I think you can probably just do that. I think Kevin will be listening because he knows we do these recaps. And so,
fun. He's in Dallas.
He's
Lovely.
in Dallas. Yep.
All right, we're coming through, Kevin.
Yeah.
That's a call.
Coming on strong, Kevin. We're just coming on like all the way there. Okay, I'm going to talk about I love because it's my turn. He said, how do you stay in your zone? And he actually talked about how strengths have a positive and a negative side, which I think is really important. I think everything has that, right? I think we forget, even our yoga teacher was like, you can't have love without hate, you can't have peace without war. Like everything has its equal and opposite. And he used these words, are we in the balcony? Are we in the basement? And
well, before you go, like the positive and the negative, I think that there's an assumption there that we're making because it's a Strengths Finders test. They tell you your strength is X, but just because that's your strength, that strength still has the negative side.
Yeah. Well,
So the balcony and the basement.
Yeah. So he says like, he was talking about like, there's a place where, are you in the balcony? Like, are you like overseeing and like there's beautiful views on the balcony, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or are you in the basement, which is like where you're like kind of leaning to the negative side of it.
Yeah.
And so, he gave an example. A maximized balcony is faster with mastery. It wants to be around it. It's healthy to be healthy to get to elite levels. A maximized basement is noodling with the thing just to make it a little bit better, just like a little bit, just like a little perfectionist-y situation. Right. And so,
I know there's another like that I've personally experienced with someone who was very close to me for a long time, where empathy can be an incredible strength, and I saw empathy used to really relate to people and connect with them and make them feel included and help them, come out of their shell and whatever. I also saw that same strength of empathy bring this person down where they were experiencing the same sadness, heartbreak, whatever, and it was like crushing them, right? So empathy has both the balcony and the basement, right? So same thing with maximizers, same thing with literally every single strength that they outline in Strengths Finders. So it's important to understand how it can be used in the positive and also in the negative way, because you might be being that perfectionist as a maximizer. I'm a maximizer, right? Mm-hmm. So I definitely don't think I struggle with perfectionism, as it were, but I find myself actually having these weird like I feel like I've got a window into OCD-ness.
You know what your noodling is though? Like you will try to get the system ready and prepared before the thing is even you'll kind of start to do the thing that someone else could be doing.
Yeah.
And so just to get it done. And so I think that that's interesting. And I think it's like really fun because we could just go up, you're in the basement right now. I've talked about this before. One of my strengths is woo. And he brought up woo, like woo people are like, they got to meet the next person. I don't really have that problem. Like, let's go. Cause I'm an introverted woo person, but I did stay in a relationship because I was trying to win them over. I was like, you're the only fucking person in the world that doesn't love me for myself.
How interesting is that? How interesting is that?
Yeah. So I was like, ooh, and I really tried to I almost downplayed my woo so much that it almost ended up not in my strengths because I was so afraid of that happening. And now I'm like, okay, I get the woo. I got the woo wrangled, so we're good there.
Yeah, well, I was laughing. We go to the gym, and there's another group of people at the gym. Mm-hmm. Okay, and they are in a different class, and there's this weird rivalry now between the other guy and our teacher, and and we go in, and the first couple of months, months, whatever,
weeks, it's only been a month.
The other people in the class wouldn't make eye contact with us, but we were all looking at each other across the gym.
But our group clearly has several wooers in it because we would walk past. We have to walk through their group because they take over this one space that's next to all the weights. So we walk through, and all the wooers, you can tell who they are because they're
we're making eye contact with them. We're smiling at them.
Your pants.
We're saying hey,
and then we're I gotta smile at them.
yeah. And then we come back to our group and we're she smiled. Yeah, okay, we're winning them over.
We got 2 of the 3. And at this point, we now have them. They're all saying "Have a good night" to us, except for the trainer.
Except for the trainer, it's really weird.
The trainer has got this weird peacocking thing. Anyway,
but it's funny because it can become a challenge, but also it can become an obsession.
Yes. So again, balcony in the basement. So I could keep going, but I would just say 1, if you have an inner strength finders, definitely do it, and then 2, really reflecting if you are in the balcony in the basement or whatever words you want to use in your strengths, because it is true. Your best, you could be so good at something that it becomes your default, your default down.
I think you could say it both ways, but he, actually what his
demise.
Yeah, your demise.
Dramatic.
Well, he actually said when that's happening, when you're in the basement, chances are high that you're making it about you.
Yeah.
And you're not making it about somebody else. I need to win them over. I have to win them over. If they didn't win me, if I didn't win them over, then it's my fault. Then I did something wrong, right? Where, think about that. You stayed in the relationship because he's the only person that wasn't liking you for you.
I know.
And so you're I have to. I.
Everybody loves me.
Everybody loves me. How come this person doesn't? That's where it becomes chances are high that if you're in the basement, it's because you're making it about you instead of about others, where you're not leading.
I'm into that. All right, what'd you love? I know there's a ton of things, but is there anything else?
Well, so I thought this was really fascinating. He talked about the idea of limiting beliefs. Okay, and I talk about making it all about me. I can tell you that my beliefs were holding me back, were holding us back. My beliefs were holding back our company from growing. And but he said something that I thought was really interesting. I never thought about it like this before, and I wanted to dig into it a little bit more. He said, innately, we're all happy. Right? When you're a child, I guess you're happy and sad as a child, but you're curious, you're happy, you're excited to learn, right? He said, as we grow, we get, all that stuff gets covered up with BS that just doesn't matter. And he said, we've all heard of this idea of limiting beliefs, but he said we get stuck, where, we've all heard of, mindset, right? Mm-hmm. And he said, learn to master your mindset. And then he said, but also learn to master your heart set. And I was like, what the hell's a heart set? I never heard of this, right? And because mindset, I kind of think makes sense. Oh yeah, how you frame it, your beliefs, you're limiting your beliefs, all that kind of stuff. But he said, if you are not paying attention to your gut feelings, you're actually giving away half of your power because you're stuck in the mindset.
I know he and Paul Epstein, we met at an event in Nashville. Paul has a book. I don't remember the name, but it has to do with head, heart, hands. And you need to make sure that before you take action, equaling hands, that the heart and the head are aligned. And so no one made that connection but me, because in that interview, because Kevin doesn't know Paul, but maybe they do. Maybe. But at any rate, it was the first time we've had anyone talk about the heart set here. And I do think limiting beliefs can feel very mindset-y, But, you know, if you aren't clear on what's going on in your heart, you can do all the mind work in the world and you're not going to be able to overcome those things.
Well, because he talked a couple times about like the love, choose love over fear. I can't remember exactly what he said, but basically love, energy. He talks about energy a lot. And he said basically, if you are stuck in logic, in process, in strategy, right? You're only using 50% of your power. Right, that stuff's important. There's no question. You need to be your mind, the all that logic. You have to get to that point too. But there's a whole nother side of it of like, do I really want to be doing this? Is this the right decision? Is this the right person for me to be working with? Like, there's a whole instinct that we have that we often. I think it's the classic. I think that the easiest way to relate to this is with relationships where it's like, you're thinking too much, go with your heart. You know, it's like more, do you feel it or are you thinking it? Right. And it's like the people say, oh, my heart wants to, but my mind won't let me. Right. Yeah. Like get into a relationship. I know this was me. This was totally me. Like when we were dating, my heart was in it, but my mind was like, I'm afraid. I had this negative experience that hurt me before, like danger. And it was all up in my head, but my heart was like, kept bringing me back to this place. And there came a point where I had to like literally like make a mental decision, a logical decision of like, I'm just going to go with this, even though I'm afraid. Yeah. You know, and so anyway, that's like the heart versus that mind. So the mindset is only half of your power. That heart set is the other half of your power. Yeah. I thought it was just really interesting. I never heard this idea before.
Yeah, I think what's cool about that is like a lot of people like follow your heart, and other people like it's like or get your mindset right. It's like you have to do both. So sorry, you're not going to get out of this life just mastering one or the other. You got to have both.
Yeah, totally. So anyway, that was really interesting to explore. So I hope that is revealing for you too, because maybe you consider yourself like me, very logical and very, I don't know. I want to see it on paper, just spell it out, right? Where I know you often will go with your gut.
Oh yeah.
More often. So fascinating.
Yeah.
All right, so finally, let's talk about those be it action items. What bold, executable, intrinsic, or targeted action items can we take away from your convo with Kevin Keppel? Why don't you go first?
Okay, it's a great takeaway and it's super quick, and I want you to write them down. Ask yourself, that's what he said, ask yourself, what do I want? Why do I want it? And then he actually did another why. And he also said, don't ask yourself, how do I get it? And I think, first of all, many people have talked about this. The how is going to fuck you up so many times over because you're going to get so stuck on the how. Yep. And it is possible that you don't even have to figure the how out. Like it is possible that the how is already set up and it exists. And if you are just really clear on what you want and why you want it, you'll tell someone because you're so excited about what you want and why you want it. And your passion's going to be there. And they're going to go, oh, have you talked to so-and-so? It's like Brad wanted to work anywhere in the world. He wanted to travel for work. He did all this stuff and he was trying to figure out the how on his own. And some guy goes, your wife's doing that already and she needs someone to work with her. And he gave you the how you had not seen.
Even though it was literally in front of me.
Clearly. Yeah. Right there with a hot pink hat on right there. So anyways, I just really loved this because.
So what do you want?
Yep.
Why do you want it? Think on those things. Like that's what you need to determine. You do not need to figure out the how.
Mm-hmm. In fact, don't figure out the how. Don't do that. Just get really clear on that thing. And you may have to ask yourself why a few times, to get to the true why that gets you up and going, even when you don't know the how.
Yeah. I thought he also kind of commented, he said, how can we mix a little generosity into the why? Because he said sometimes passion is a little bit selfish. When you're like all passion, right? You're not necessarily considering others. Yeah. So I thought that was interesting.
But that's why you have to go to several whys, because if you do like Dean Graziosi's like 7 layers of why.
7 layers.
7 layers of why. you'll get stuck around 5 or 6 and you just got to hold on and you'll come back to it. But that whole your why should make you cry. Like when you get to that 7th one, he figured out why did he want to do all these things? Because he wanted to pay for his mother's home. He didn't want her to worry anymore. He wanted to make sure he did these things. It wasn't about him. The first several whys were about him. He got further down. So that's why you got to go why a few times so you get to this bigger thing. And the thing, that 7th one usually has very little to do about you and mostly to do about the world. And it has a generosity.
Well, my biggest takeaway was that he said, find a coach and pay Lesley for coaching.
I did not pay him to say that.
No, we did not. But I thought that was hilarious. I think that the underlying concept, though, is something that I've lived my whole life by. And the darker parts of my life were when I didn't have a mentor or I didn't have a coach. And I've talked about this plenty of times before, but I absolutely believe that you will go further, faster when you have somebody that you're willing to submit your plans, ideas, concepts, like energy, love, all of those things. When you're willing to put yourself in a position where someone can sow into your life and weigh in a way that you respect what they have to say, it is going to benefit you in an incredible way. And so Lesley and I are constantly finding coaches for ourselves too. This is not something that we did once and we're done. No, we will have coaches or mentors for the rest of our lives. So we encourage you to do exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm Lesley Logan.
And I'm Brad Crowell.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Again, we are super grateful for you. How are you going to use these tips in your life?
Oh, I'm jumping in here. I know how I'm going to use these tips in my life. And Kevin, this is because of this guy. I went back and I listened to your combo 2 times. I am looking into becoming a certified Gallup Strengths Finders coach.
Oh, you should totally do that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I already sent off an email to Gallup to see what's involved in the whole program. I already read about the whole thing this morning.
That's so fucking cool.
Well, I'm excited.
I'm excited. I'm like slightly jealous, but I'm going to not do that certification because I already have 7. This is so cool. Okay, well, Brad already told me, but you have to tell me. So DM us at the Beit Pod. Tell us your takeaways. Tell us what you're working on. Tell us what your strengths are. And make sure you tag Kevin Keppel because he'll want to hear about them too.
Absolutely.
And please share this podcast with several friends, if not all your friends. And until next time, be it till you see it.
Bye for now.
That's all I got for this episode of the Be It Till You See It podcast. One thing that would help both myself and future listeners is for you to rate the show and leave a review. And follow or subscribe for free wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, make sure to introduce yourself over at the Be It Pod on Instagram. I would love to know more about you. Share this episode with whoever you think needs to hear it. Help us and others be it till you see it. Have an awesome day. Be It Till You See It is a production of As the Crows Fly Media.
It's written, produced, filmed, and recorded by your host, Lesley Logan, and me, Brad Crowell. Our associate producer is Amanda Fraterelli.
Kevin Perez at Disenyo handles all of our audio editing.
Our theme music is by Ali at Apex Production Music, and our branding by designer and artist Gianfranco Cioffi.
Special thanks to our designer Jairo Mandal for creating all of our visuals, which you can't see because this is a podcast, and our digital producer Jay Perdoso for editing all the video each week so you can.
And to Angelina Herrico for transcribing each of our episodes so you can find them on our website. And finally, to Meredith Crowell for keeping us all on point and on time.